You don't have to be a star baby. You don't have to be a star baby to be on my show. You don't have to be a star baby, but you got to be bold. Yeah! And of course, it's Wednesday evening. And of course, you got Kimberly F. Brown inside the Little Hut podcast. Brown, 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 that damn Brown on Cleveland. So before we get started, of course, I got to say hello to my girls. First one of Dream Team Realty, I need to say hello to Aletha Johnson. If you're looking for single homes, commercial property, whatever the case may be, call Aletha at 216-375-3681. And don't forget about my girl Angie Marie out of Maple Heights, Ohio. She's the owner of New Beginnings 1111 Creations. So if you're looking for t-shirts, hoodies, jackets, tumblers, cups, mugs, political campaign t-shirts, hey, call Angie right now at 216-395-7335 and tell her that Kimberly Brown, Brown on Cleveland, sent you. Darn tootin'. So listen, tonight we have a very serious topic tonight. And I'm going to say this to you. If you are an elected official, a mayor, county executive, whatever the case may be, you want to pay attention to what we are going to talk about tonight. So, tonight we're going to focus on the city of East Cleveland. And I do have a guest hanging out with me, and she is the CEO of Chasing Justice. But in the event that you have not been paying attention to what's been going on in the city of East Cleveland, let me be the first to say this. East Cleveland has made headlines recently with the appointment of a new interim mayor. But questions are swirling about the legality of the decision. Citizens are raising concerns, and it seems that the community is divided. The appointment process has sparked debates about transparency and adherence to the law. Residents are asking, was the proper protocol followed? Did the city council and Judge Anthony Russo comply with all necessary regulations? Now, legal experts and activists, they are weighing in. Recently, I wrote a story on Newsbreak, and I got over, I do believe, 48 shares and over 3,500 reads and about 33 comments the last time I checked. But I want to have a discussion with Mariah Crenshaw again, who is the CEO of Chasing Justice. And first of all, Ms. Crenshaw, welcome to the Little Hut podcast. I appreciate you for being here tonight. And for some reason, your mic went off again, but it was on a few minutes ago. So I guess you inadvertently touched something, huh? So as she works on her microphone, people are asking,
Does that work?
yes, people are asking, yep, don't touch anything. People are asking the question, what are your thoughts regarding this recent appointment of Sandra Morgan to the interim seat of Mayor Brown on Cleveland?
So, can you hear me now?
I
Are we,
can.
okay. So I'm very concerned because the state law, as well as the city charter, are consistent. There is no um, uh,
And now we lost you again. And I'm going to tell you guys something.
can you hear me?
Yes, let me say this. Even if you this Crenshaw, the devil's right, because we're going to get through the today, be it a special broadcast, it doesn't matter. Because this is something that people have been saying.
Can you hear me, Kim? Okay. So very concerned about what's going on in East Cleveland, and um, the law is consistent with the charter. Judge Anthony Russo decided he was not going to enforce the laws, and under, if we're going to use some legal terms, he decided to suspend the laws and
Hmm.
create this process of having people apply to be the mayor. Well, that's a violation of election laws. The state of Ohio requires a law director be elected to office, people who are elected to office to be mayor and council people. That comes from the voters. That's the voters' decisions. And so Ohio law states that an acting mayor has to be the president of council. And it makes a lot of sense because that person has already been elected by the electors of the municipality. And it also doesn't place an undue financial burden on the residents to be paying two mayors.
Wait. Let me let Miss Crenshaw. I don't want to interject, but I want to hear you very clear. Are you saying that right now, as poor as the city of East Cleveland is, that they're paying two mayors?
Yes. So revised code 3.16 that was used to remove Brandon King requires him to continue to be paid until such time he is either found guilty or pleads guilty to the felonies. So that code also.
So she's having some technical difficulty, and now I can't hear you again. But the question I was asking uh, Mariah Crenshaw was about the pay for the interim mayor, which in fact is Sandra Morgan. Are you back with us, Mariah?
Hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So the mayor, under that code, if he's found guilty and he's accepted his salary, he has to pay that salary back.
Mm,
So when you look at a budget, and especially for a fiscally strapped municipality like East Cleveland, there is nothing in terms in the budget to cover an acting mayor. It's not something that's a normal line item that would be placed in the budget. So they would have to pass a resolution to include that line item into the budget to pay Sandra and him for the acting mayor position. So that's problematic to me as well. Um, it's problematic because obviously they're strapped, but when the General Assembly created these laws, they
hmm.
decided, hey, the president of council is already in the line item. He's already there.
Okay.
Okay. And I see that someone's asking who determines how much the new mayor gets. I would assume it would be commensurate with the same salary that Brandon King is being paid. So that's not something that Judge Russo looked at prior to him making this decision to do this arbitrary application, um, process to have people apply for the job. You've never heard of anyone applying to be a mayor. It's problematic to me because this is happening in a black community. They would never pull this crap in, Shaker Heights or any other. Um,
But let me ask you this for a second. Now, I don't know Sandra Morgan, but let me ask you this. It is my understanding that she served on the finance commission to help get East Cleveland back on track. Am I correct?
that's what I was told, that
Okay,
she
okay,
served on that
okay,
fiscal commission. Yes.
okay. So then my question would be this: if a person has been serving on such a committee, would he or she not know the rules that the council president would be next in line? So why would you apply for something that you know that the judge does not have the legal authority to move on? Brown on Cleveland. I'm just asking because hey, I don't know.
That was problematic for me because all of council did the exact same thing. They all they all submitted applications, which was absolutely insane to me. And I had conversations with a couple of people on council, and I said to them, "This doesn't make any sense that you're allowing the judge to suspend the law, and that's what it's called. The Ohio Constitution says that only the General Assembly can suspend a law. He's suspending the laws by holding this application process and then doing this interview and then appointing her. What was even more disturbing for me was watching the council meeting last night where she was sitting there, they were embracing her, and this attitude of at least it's not Brandon. But it's problematic for me because Sandra Morgan is Team Brandon King. She's known all along that, yes, she's known all along about the corruption that's been going on. She's part of this huge, massive email flurry that goes out constantly about what's going on within the city. She should know that the police department, and I hope you're ready for this one, that the police department is corrupt and that there's a process that should be followed when you are hiring police officers. Well, Sandra Morgan swore in, and she didn't know how to do it. They had to show her how to do it. But she swore in 4 people yesterday
Okay.
to the police department. So I go look at the agency. No one has been reported to the state of having, new officers. So we don't know who these officers are. We don't know. We know they did not take a civil service exam because they suspended the civil service exam in East Cleveland. No one on the police department has ever taken it. So this is someone who's come in office and she's blind to what's going on. She doesn't have any information. The judge was blind because he doesn't know who these actors are. He doesn't even know what the state is. And to my understanding, he was confused on who the council members were. He thought that Patricia Blahoviak was Corrine Stevenson, and yeah, and then he thought that Terry was Juanita Gowdy. So he wasn't even up to date on who the council was. He was far removed from it. So it's the entire process is tainted. It's his job.
Here's my question. She blanked out for a second. Here's my question. I don't understand why every single mayor, every single council person, every single county exec, every single state representative are not up in arms about this process. Because the way I see it, the city charter is the Bible to the city, right? The city charter governs how the city is supposed to run. So if the city charter clearly states, and it does, because even when I looked at your information, I still had to do a cross reference to East Cleveland. And I saw that the next person in line would be the city council president. So the reason why other mayors should be concerned is because the first time something happens to them or they step out of line, are you telling me that a judge has the legal authority to come in and rule their city the way he wants it to be ruled? And if you are allowing this and you are a mayor and you are standing behind this type of appointment, you can be next in line. And I will agree, I don't believe it would happen to a Caucasian community, but it seems like this community is being taken, totally taken. And I don't get it. And I'll also say this because I can't hear you. I'll say this: when she got appointed, I
Can you
must
hear me
say,
now?
yes, as a reporter, as a podcaster, I did congratulate her on the seat. But I did not, and I'm guilty of it, I did not do my due diligence. But now that I'm doing my due diligence, I do understand what people are saying. And it's really not saying that, they don't want her. It's the way that she came in and she was not properly appointed the way she should have, because it clearly states that the council president is definitely next in line, Brown on Cleveland. Think about that. We're waiting for Miss Crenshaw to get back. The other thing that's disturbing to me is the fact that it appears that no one in this region, and I'm saying absolutely no one, not one mayor, not one council person, not even a county executive, because he stood by and he endorsed this appointment. And you mean to tell me that no one is reading? No one is understanding. And even when this information came out and it's now in front of everybody, you mean to tell me out of all of the media players in this region, Kimberly Brown, Brown on Cleveland, the Little Hut podcast is the only one to talk about this. So therefore, we can turn a wrong into a right. Brown on Cleveland, yes, I said it all day. So it is a matter laughable because it appears that everybody else is afraid to say, wait a minute, hold up. I think there's a flaw here because I really want to understand, how did Judge Anthony Russo, how did he insert himself into this situation where in fact it appears again that he has absolutely no legal authority? Then the other thing that's concerning to me is when I was listening to interim mayor Sandra Morgan speak about the city of East Cleveland, she clearly stated that she would run for that seat. And I was always under the impression that, like, for example, the city of Cleveland, if you get appointed to a seat because of some flaw, for example, when Ken Johnson went to jail from Cleveland Ward 4, they appointed Anita Gardner. But under the premise, it was told to her, and she agreed, that if you are appointed for the seat to complete his term, then you cannot run for council person. So I was always under the impression, and I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, please, somebody, please correct me because I don't mind being corrected. Brown on Cleveland stands for right. And this is a challenging issue, again, that most mainstream media will run from, but not the Little Hut podcast. We stand for right. So I was taken back when she stated that she would run for mayor for the city of East Cleveland. How can that be fair when in fact you are appointed? You are appointed. So now you're politicking, you're campaigning in a subliminal fashion. And you mean to tell me nobody is catching that but a Kimberly Brown? That's insane. That's insane. The city charter runs the cities. You have to know your city charter just like a Bible. And if you don't understand how your city is supposed to run, my question is, why are you a council person? My question is, why are you elected as a mayor? My question to you is, don't you think that someone else deserves to be in that seat rather than you? One reason why, not just East Cleveland, but many cities across the country, they are failing. Go look at Dalton, Illinois, and Tiffany Henyard. Yeah, the secret squirrel lady. She's not in that seat. Why? Because she did not understand the game plan for the city, which in fact is the city charter. And I believe when people are running for office, one of the things that constituents need to start asking these people, do you know the city charter? And most of them jokers will say yes. Don't stop there. Start asking them basic questions about the duties, the obligations of what their job entails. Use this situation as an example. Listen to them and let them tell you what they think about it. Now, it's okay to like Be kind, be friendly to Sandra Morgan. Again, I don't know the woman. I have nothing against the woman. But right now, we're talking about the law, what's in place, and the proper order of what should have happened in East Cleveland. Now, I know I get a lot of politicians, a lot of elected officials who watch the Little Hut podcast. I know you do. A lot of you guys tell me you do. And I'm more so confident that you do because every time I say something and I may see you, you walking around here like somebody stole your damn bicycle. And that's only because maybe I've had to tap you just a little bit or say something about you and how you are conducting the business of the people. So I know you're watching. So I want to know, how do you sit back and not say anything about this illegal appointment that was carried out by Judge Anthony Russo, Brown on Cleveland? Is this because of a certain political party? Because most of you guys know how I feel about political parties anyway. Because it seems to me what one person does, somebody else will do, and nobody really cares about the legalities of who really is. Are you back with us, Ms. Crenshaw?
Hopefully, can you hear me?
I can't because we got 5 minutes to wrap this thing up. So please,
Okay, so very quickly, I am filing an amicus curiae brief tomorrow with the Supreme Court because there was a case pending about the legality of him doing what he was doing. The
okay,
Supreme Court has not ruled on the case, so I'm going to be filing an amicus curiae brief. And basically, because I did notice that none of the parties that briefed the situation talked about those state laws. There's nothing before the court to talk about the process that he should have used. So it was unlawful what he did. I think it's disgraceful what he did. When the attorney for counsel called the office to talk to him and tell him you can't do this, it's a violation of home rule. His office told the attorney, we don't care. Literally, we don't care, and they didn't want to hear it. So I have it in good faith, conscious that the Republicans have a plan for East Cleveland. Sandra Morgan is a Republican. She's been down in Columbus all day today, and to my understanding, she's even met with members of the Supreme Court to let her know they have her back. So this is problematic for me with them having any conversations with her when there's a pending case before the court to determine whether or not this application process is legal. It's not legal. There's no law that gives him this authority. He has exceeded his authority under that revised code 3.16. 3.16 tells him he has to appoint the person, but that does not give him authority to go outside of the charter or go outside of the state law, which are consistent, that the president of council is the next person in line. Is this illegal? Yes, but we've seen this corruption before. We've seen it in the Republican Party from the federal and the executive branch all the way down. And we've seen, Mike DeWine withhold millions of dollars from unemployment pandemic funds. Now he's appealing that again. We see a lot of the corruption without the Republican Party here in Cuyahoga County. So Chris Ronayne has no business telling Sandra Morgan he's going to give her everything she needs to run East Cleveland. Like, that is absolutely insane to me that the people who are not residents, electors, are making decisions on behalf of those who are, and they are violating the charter. This is scary to me because, again, Kim, like you said, home rule dictates what happens within our municipalities. And if they can do that to East Cleveland, they can do it to Cleveland. They can do it to anyone. I have currently filed a lawsuit because Cleveland, our charter is outdated. We're supposed to be electing our law director. He's supposed to be an elected official. He's not supposed to be appointed by the mayor. Bibb knows this because I filed it last year, and sadly, I filed it in the wrong jurisdiction. So I just recently refiled it because this is an election issue. If Bibb had, tragically passed or was incapable of doing anything in office when he was in that car accident, then by law, Blaine Griffin would have taken that spot. It would not have just been, according to our charter, it would be Mark Griffin, who is not an elector or resident or elected to office. So our charter is severely, severely, severely outdated. Willa Hemmons running around. She's the acting mayor. She can't be the acting mayor. She's not a resident elector of the municipality. She was a contracted law director from 2014. It expired. Her office was vacated 2 years ago by council. She's still there because Brandon did not make her leave. Heather McCullough, same thing. So you have, when you ask, why does this keep happening? It keeps happening because you have the remnants of an old corrupted administration that is not hauled away by the police and the FBI, still there, so they continue that cycle. It just continues. So as long as you have the bad actors from previous administrations, they now taint the new people coming in and tell them it's okay.
All right, I got to wrap this thing up. Thank you, Mariah Crenshaw.
Thanks for
As the,
having me, Kim.
yeah, as the community continues to voice their concerns, the question remains, can this new mayor serve effectively if doubts linger about her legitimacy? Are East Cleveland residents ready to accept this leadership, or will they push for reconsideration of the appointment because of the legalities? Brown on Cleveland, thank you, Mariah Crenshaw. We're going to follow this story. Anything you have, please send it to me because you know I ain't scared to report it, unlike any of the media. Give me 30 seconds and I'm going to let you wrap this thing up in 30 seconds. Thank you.
30 seconds.
Yes, ma'am.
Um, let's see what happens with the amicus brief that I'm going to be filing. Hopefully, that it will throw a monkey wrench in whatever works they have going on down at the state level concerning what's going to happen with East Cleveland. Can the council president appeal? That's what he's doing. He's fighting it. And
Awesome.
Russo never should have made any moves on that case until the Supreme Court made its ruling. So let's hope that the amicus brief that I filed will help those residents. I am a resident of Cleveland, but I'm an activist for everywhere. So hopefully we can
And
get
that
this
you
thing
are.
moving, and we could get something done because I'm as concerned that she has sworn in 4 people who were not civil servants tested, and they have not been reported to the state of Ohio as peace officers. And you know that 19 officers, because of my work, has been indicted. So we need to make sure that we're not bringing in more corrupt people when we're still trying to clean out the last 7 that are there, that are also going to be indicted. So
All right.
let's just, it's a mess. It's just an
I
absolute
see.
mess.
Thank
And
you very much. Thank
thank
you
you,
very
Kim. I
much.
appreciate you.
Without a doubt. We coming back with something. Here again, you just been inside the Little Hut podcast. My name is Kimberly Brown. And as I say, every single podcast, I know Mariah, they don't like me, and I'm okay with that because
And
I
you know
don't
how you
like
feel
them
about
either.
me.
Right. They don't like you either, but that's what we have in common, right? But if you need me, call me. Don't talk about me because you know what? I'll talk about you back, and that's the fact. But you
Girl,
have just been inside the Little Hut podcast. My name is Kimberly Brown. You have a great evening. Say goodbye, Mariah.
good night, everybody.
Brown, brown, brown. That damn brown on Cleveland.